victory. That's a statement right there. Let's go.
Welcome to the press box, and I'll tell you what, man, it was an historic day in Tampa Bay sports, and even if you're in the Orlando side, I know you follow Derek Brooks. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Let me welcome in our panelists. We have him here every Tuesday, and even though he was over there working today, he made sure he was here. I love it. From the Tampa Tribune and TBO.com. Thank you so much, Roy.
Glad to do it, Rock.
You must have been typing fast.
I've been typing very fast. Still got more to do.
All righty. And making his debut on our program, he is the evening host. It's called Out of Bounds on 98.7 The Fan. Marc Ryan, thank you very much.
Rock, this is a lot of fun. Roy, this is a lot of fun. Been watching and following you guys for a number of years. This is great.
Suddenly inbounds with Marc Ryan.
Yeah, I like it. All right, let's start off right off the top. Going into the Ring of Honor, as Derek Brooks himself said, it was the worst kept secret. He is number 6 now. He is going to be inducted second game of the season. You had Leroy Selman, the late, great Leroy Selman, the former original coach John McKay, Jimmy Giles, the tight end, Paul Gruber, an Iron Man as far as a lineman, Warren Sapp, who also goes into the Pro Football Hall of Fame last year, and now Derek Brooks, and his number also going to be retired. Now, Derek Brooks, when he heard about it, and then he told us, he said, you know what, I like to show humility. He's always done that throughout his career, and he did it again today. He's going to be honored, second game of the season, September 14th, at Ray J versus the Rams. Here's Derek.
This is where I spent most of my career. In high school, I was only there 4 years, college 4 years, but here I was 14 years. And that's why the retirement of this number means so much to me, and I receive it with a great deal of humility. And it's probably hadn't hit me yet, you know, in terms of what this means to our Bay Area, till I perhaps go to an event in the stadium besides a football game and to see the name and number up there then, to know that everybody that steps foot in that stadium get a chance to see it. Those little things are starting to sink in, and I can't thank the organization enough for honoring me in this way.
And you know what, guys? I mean, talk about class. He thanked the Glazers, and he seemed sincere.
Yeah.
And I also thought that was a team that they told him at the end, you're done. He didn't think he was done, but you know how it goes. I will ask you, Roy, you've covered the Bucs for a long time. Was this the right choice?
As Derek Brooks said, it was one of the worst kept secrets in town for probably the last few months, certainly the last week since we knew the announcement was coming. Of course it was the right choice. He's going in the Hall of Fame this year. As Brian Glazer said, the heart of that team, the best team in franchise history, went in last year in Warren Sapp. The soul goes in this year. Derek Brooks, the Don of that locker room, he was the soul of that football team, so absolutely, they nailed it again.
And I know you had ties here before going to Atlanta, so I know you follow them pretty closely, and especially when you're up there in the NFC South. The decision to put Derek Brooks in and retire his jersey.
If he wasn't the selection, they shouldn't even have a Ring of Honor. I mean, seriously, 14 years a Buccaneer, 11 times a Pro Bowler, 9 times an All-Pro. If Warren Sapp was 1A on that great defense, Derek Brooks was 1B. No-brainer.
All righty. Now, I'm going to ask you also this, and this was interesting before I ask you who is next. When I was doing an interview with him at the end, he goes, I'll tell you what, do you know since 1997 I've never played a football game in that stadium where it hasn't been sold out.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about 80, and I thought, wow, isn't that?
Yeah.
Wow. I think it would be a sellout. Who do you think should be next?
Well, I'm going to save my opinion on this for the final rant,
Oh,
but
okay.
because there's a lot of choices. You know, here's the thing: for an organization that's only won one Super Bowl, had an awful, difficult start for years, been through some issues. There's a lot of options there. You know, you look at them there: Doug Williams, Hardy Nickerson, John Lynch, Tony Dungy, Mike Allstott, Ronnie Barr. You can't go wrong. I don't think you can go wrong. You can pick any one of those guys, and you can make an argument. Talking to Derek Brooks afterwards, he was even saying, you know what? I think he'd like to see Ricky Bell go in. There's players who are not even on the list that you think about right off the top of your head. You start thinking a little bit deeper into this organization's history and what certain players meant to the development of this team and really, truly getting them on the map in a good way early on in the history. There's another guy. So there's a lot of players that you can pick from. Again, I think you can't go wrong no matter who you pick out of that bunch.
Do you go old school, or do you still stay with this wave of these guys that were on that Super Bowl?
Personally speaking, I think it's got to be John Lynch, Rock.
Really?
And Roy, I think it's got to be John Lynch. When you look at what he's accomplished, 9 times a Pro Bowler, 4 times an All-Pro. You know, they kind of did what Lovie Smith's trying to do now. They have the guy at each section of the train, right? They had Warren Sapp in the front, Derek Brooks in the middle, John Lynch in the back end, trying to do the same thing right now with Gerald McCoy, Levante David, and Mark Barron.
Not a bad point he makes, because, Rock, you've been here, throughout all of it just as I have. We've always talked about it. Kind of depends on how you say it, but it was always kind of, Brooks, Sapp, and Lynch. So, that makes a lot of sense.
Do you think that the Glazers will want to spread it out and just do one a year? Because I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, what about Doug Williams? I mean, he was screwed over going back to the Culver House years. That'd be nice. Do you think they'd ever do that, or are they just going to do one a year?
I'll tell you what, they got to bury the hatchet with him first. There's an issue there, and the details are kind of cloudy. But right now, I don't think Doug Williams is real happy with the organization, and I don't think the organization is real happy with Doug Williams. Certainly a great player. I think he's certainly deserving of being in the Ring of Honor. It would be nice if they could somehow clean that up and get that taken care of. But I think it goes back to the fact that maybe Doug feels maybe he was passed over late in the Bruce Allen era, beginning of the Mark Dominic era for an executive position. But that shouldn't prevent him from becoming a Ring of Honor honoree. That's got to happen at some point.
It shouldn't. And they say nothing that's good in life ends well. It didn't end well technically with Derek Brooks. He didn't want to be cut by the team. It doesn't end well for anybody. It's time to bury the hatchet. Forgiveness is so important in life, and it's time to move forward and honor the truly great memories of Doug Williams here.
I would agree. I thought it took him too long to start a Ring of Honor, but that's on the past. No, really.
No doubt about that.
All right. Now, the other news that came out, it was yesterday. The Buccaneers announced $7 million in upgrades to Raymond James Stadium. Basically, the concourses, they're going to be refurbished. They're going to add some more stands. Commissioner Goodell was here at a function with the DeBartolo's in Brooks, and he said that you will get a Super Bowl down the road. That's what he thought. I'll ask you, I guess the knock on Ray J wasn't quite big enough, or maybe they didn't have the amenities. I still think it's a nice stadium, but for the Super Bowl. Do you think that these renovations were done partly in mind that maybe they can get another Super Bowl? Do you think it would guarantee another Super Bowl, Mark?
Of course, Rock. You're always looking forward to what that might bring to the local economy, and I think Tampa is a serious contender for that. But let me tell you what bothers me about this, Rock. I'm tired of Tampa hosting everyone else's party and not having a party of its own. 2 titles in 75 years of professional existence. We're getting close to that Forbes most miserable cities list that you don't want to be on. I want Tampa to have a party of its own to host. Instead, we're a great tourist destination. Everybody knows it. It's a great place to have a Super Bowl. But I'm ready for the next great Tampa Bay pro sports team to step forward.
Well, that'd be great. That'd be
would
great.
be great.
Yeah. But in order to host any party at Raymond James, you've got to upgrade the facility. It's getting to the point. I'm a little bit concerned that it's starting to get to the point where it's becoming certainly not obsolete, but it's starting to become a little bit outdated.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
I know.
It really
Look
is.
what Atlanta's built.
Because when they built it, it was beautiful, and they've done some tremendous upgrades since. But I think they've still got a long way to go. I mean, you go to Dallas now, you go to some of the other facilities around the league, the new ones. They're starting to do things. You go to Detroit of all places. You go to Seattle of all. You go to some of these stadiums that are new, and they've got things that they don't have here. And a lot of it is the amenities. Yes, they've got to start doing some things in the concourses for the fans, but they've also got to start doing some things with the video boards. They got to just upgrade a lot of things. The seating in some cases. There's a lot of things that have to be done in order for this team the stadium, to really get back on that list of the Super Bowl contender.
I want to ask you on this, and it's with Mike Glennon. And I remember when you first came here, and I liked your take, and you were on with Booger, and everybody was like, well, Glennon, and I know what he feels about it. Do you think the Buccaneers possibly could have given up on Mike Glennon a little too soon?
It's always possible, Roy. And it's always possible, Roy. But I'll tell you what. He's a guy who had about as impressive a rookie campaign as you can have. 19 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Here's my concern. What he doesn't have, I don't think you can coach. They say he's like the Napoleon Dynamite. He looks like Napoleon Dynamite. I think the personality is also a little bit like that. I don't see him as a galvanizing force in the locker room. I don't see him as a team leader. I don't see him as a vocal leader. And I think your quarterback needs to be that guy. So what he doesn't have, I don't think you can coach. He can make all the throws, but there's a lot of guys who can make all the throws. I commend him for proving me wrong. I didn't think he would succeed as a rookie, and he did. I just have concerns about him as a leader moving forward.
What do you think about that now?
I don't have any concerns about him moving forward as a leader because he was a leader in college. His coaches will tell you that. His quarterback coach will tell you that. He was a leader last year. You know, there's a reason. The way you become a leader, and Derek Brooks is a very good example, is you start by shutting up and listening. And that's what Mike Glennon has done his first year with the Buccaneers. He shut up and he listened and he just performed on the field. And he performed well enough in the eyes of one coach to become the starting quarterback. Oh, and then he went out and he had 19 touchdown passes against 9 interceptions. That's decision making. That's the kind of leadership on the field that a football team can get around and say, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. He's making sound decisions with the ball in his hand, and that's the most important thing a quarterback can do. If you do that as a quarterback in this league, you will be a leader of your football team, and he's got that in him.
I'll let you respond real quickly, 30 seconds.
Yeah, the bottom line is, we didn't see that. The offense was dead last. What leadership are we seeing here, Roy? I mean, he's not.
They weren't dead last because of him.
You want the guy that's going to galvanize the team.
They were dead last because they had no running attack, because they had a beat-up offensive line, and because they couldn't throw the ball to any receivers outside of Vincent Jackson. Right. Yet he threw 19 touchdown passes against 9 interceptions. There is no team in the league. I'll tell you what. If the Bucs are seriously thinking about trading Mike Glennon, there are a dozen teams or more, maybe 14 or 15 teams, looking at him saying, I'll take him right now because he's better and he's far more advanced than any other quarterback in this draft.
Interesting. All right, I don't think we can agree on that one from our panelists. When we come back, what a story. I mean, Eric LeGrand. If you don't know, we'll touch on it briefly. He was dissed by his own Rutgers University. Now they backtrack. That and more. NBA playoffs. Jameis, stay with us. And welcome back to the Press Box. I'm Marc Reilly with Roy Cummings, Tampa Tribune, TBO.com, and with 98.7 The Fan Interference. Or not Fan Interference. Here, I'm giving Justin. But you will be filling in during draft week.
Draft day.
Yeah.
They're going to be at Buffalo
You are
Wild
out of
Wings.
bounds, Rock.
That's it. It's Out of Bounds, the evening show, 7 to 10 on 98.7 The Fan, Mark Ryan. All right, that's a mulligan. Anyway, Eric LeGrand. Eric LeGrand was going to speak at the Rutgers commencement later this month. And what happened was he said that he got a call, and they said, you know what, we're going to go in a different direction. It's going to be the former governor, Thomas Kane. And he said he was really hurt. Everywhere you see Eric LeGrand, he's always pumping Rutgers, and he was a fan of Schiano. Now, a day later, they backtrack, and they say, you know what, he is going to speak at our commencement. I ask you, can Rutgers recover from this PR fiasco?
Well, I'll tell you what, Rock. An old wise man once told me that there's no such thing as bad publicity. Something tells me Rutgers feels a little bit differently about that right now. They've not exactly been the bastion of political correctness of late. Let's not forget the only reason their head basketball coach, Mike Rice, was fired is because of physical abuse on his own players. And he was only fired after the tapes came out with undeniable evidence of this. So, you know, this speaks to the power of the social media today. Eric LeGrand sends one tweet. Everyone is outraged, and what do you know? 12 hours. Whoa, we would never intended to move Eric LeGrand off. Right. Please, you should be ashamed of yourself, Rutgers. Seriously.
You know what? Nothing at Rutgers has been right since Greg Schiano left. You know, have you noticed that? The whole school's gone down the drain. It's in a death spiral here. No, this is a terrible thing. And they did the right thing by bringing him back and having him do it, because you know what? Eric LeGrand, in a lot of ways, is the face of that university. He really is. Not many people, you know, they were known for some things before that, but no one has put more of a face on Rutgers University in a positive way than Eric LeGrand. We know him because of the association with the Buccaneers through Greg Schiano. He's a great kid, a tremendous ambassador for the university, for the football, for life. He's a great kid, and he should be doing that commencement ceremony.
I was actually mad when I actually saw that last night, and I thought, especially for college students that are graduating, who better than to motivate Eric LeGrand? Look at him, he's in a wheelchair, and he doesn't complain at all. All right, Roy, Jameis Winston. Now, there was an NFL scout, I don't know if it was on Bleacher Report, where it was yesterday, and he said that his stock is dropping, and it's because of a lack of judgment. Yeah, I know the crab legs wasn't a big thing, but he's just had these incidents. But he's so darn good.
Yeah.
Do you think his stock is dropping a little bit?